Hi there, my name is Nathan, and this is Welcome to the Human Experience. And today I'm going to talk about spiritual awakening, or as I like to think of it, realization. And, for me, it's been a long journey. I'm 39 years old, and I wouldn't say by any means that I've mastered any of this kind of being awake or an enlightened state, but I would say I've had moments of it or glimpses of it, or I've experienced something that has left me like with a profound kind of understanding or emotion that has stuck with me. And, it's going to come in a number of ways. One thing that people might not necessarily tell you or is like voiced a lot with this whole awakening process is that it's going to take you to some dark places, some really dark places. Like you're going to feel emotions of feeling lost, of despair, of not belonging, of sometimes not wanting to be here anymore. Because I think what happens in the process of spiritual awakening is it kind of breaks you down a bit. You have a number of experiences that come at you in life, certain life-changing events or certain setbacks, or even if it's a positive thing, like, I've seen that a lot where, people get all the accolades and awards in the world, but there's still something missing. So it can happen in a positive context that you have this realization. Things can be going well or things can be going bad, and you still get to this place of enlightenment or awakening or realization. Like I say, for me, I've had it in so many moments. To list them all, one, I'd have to really go tap into my memory bank. And like I say, that's to say that, yeah, maybe some of them are slightly, suppressed memories, or things that I've blocked out, mainly bad experiences, you could say, or things that I just didn't acknowledge as well. There's certain blessings in life that we don't truly realize, or we only realize after when we look back that, oh wow, actually that worked out quite well. So yeah, like I say, for me on my path of spiritual awakening, of a realization, is to see the world in a totally different way than what you've seen it before. Even to see yourself in a totally different way. Because this is, as well as, externally being awakened to things, it's almost like the term knowledge of self comes into it. And to observe the outside, I feel you need to master yourself to be able to observe yourself, your reactions, the way you perceive things. And this will take you on this journey. So yeah, like I say, with that kind of dark feelings and emotions and thoughts, you're going to have to wrestle with them and you're going to have to get through that. And like I say, even when the going's good, just be humble enough to know that this ain't it. Like, even if you've received the highest award, like for yourself personally, you could do better. And not only that, no matter what you've done in life, you've probably took inspiration or something from somewhere else. So therefore, you're just elevating that energy that is already around. Thinking of key examples for me, obviously let's go towards more of the positive aspects for me, where I was like, okay, for me, I worked in the ambulance service, and, at certain times you feel a real sense of pride, putting on that uniform, going out in the community, people treating you well, greeting you. There used to be a thing where, I can't remember exactly what it's called, but they used to basically leave treats, normally on the window screen of the ambulance. And it was like something, someone will say it hopefully in the comments, but it was like, you've been hit sort of thing, as if to say someone anonymously has come and gifted you some items. And that was just as a moral support, a boost, but also to say like, we appreciate you. So that was really nice. I've never had a job where, someone appreciates you to the extent that they're willing to gift you stuff. And you're just on your normal shift, you're getting paid for it. Yes, you've devoted some of your time and energy towards helping people, but you know, it comes with its own kind of reward of you are doing a job. Do you know what I mean? And, you know, other things that I've done is like working in the prison service. Again, it gave me a great sense of pride. At the end of the day, for me personally, it's about intention as well. I was always trying to help people. Being in the prison service, I wanted to help, yeah, as much as I could. And even though that's in a negative environment, I wanted to help. Within healthcare, you know, people are ill, but I wanted to help. So that's been my thing. And I'm not saying that to say that I'm a saint. It's just to say that that is my personality. Maybe my way of gaining enlightenment, the spiritual awakening, is through service. You know, maybe, you know, people talk about these past karmas and past lives. And yeah, who am I to challenge that? But I don't always follow it as such. But to say that if I have got them things going on, maybe this is what this life is meant to show me, you know, to be helpful, to be kind. And other people's lives and even mine could be, you know, to overcome greed, to overcome lust, to overcome some kind of addiction, to overcome some kind of family trauma. In terms of family kind of relationships, there was a time where I lost my grandma, my nana, and the sad thing there for me was, or the realization, sorry, was when I went to see her, knowing when she was first in hospital, she had got so ill that she was unconscious. You know, she was elderly, but she never regained consciousness. So what that taught me was that sometimes, even with a loved one, you might never get a chance to say goodbye. And that's hard hitting. That is a real realization that there's nothing more that can be said. You know, you want to say I love you, you want to say I appreciate you, and you don't get that opportunity. How does that make you feel? It's kind of like you're not getting any kind of how do you say it? Any kind of closure. Yeah. You know, for me, again, I spoke about this on the channel. I continue because that's what has affected me, the absence of my dad being in my life. And for me, that was a realization that even the person that helped to bring you into this world, you know, for me, myself, he wouldn't be there for me. You know, he wouldn't be there to show me stuff, to guide me. But that was probably through his own kind of demons that he was facing, his own life path, that he was to learn maybe that, yeah, you will have a child, but you won't be there. And therefore there's a pain in that. There's a detachment in that for some reason, only he will be able to answer. And now that is felt through me as well. So I'm sure that's not what he wanted, but ultimately I realized that that was what his path of becoming aware or enlightened maybe wasn't going to be in this lifetime for him. Or maybe it happened in a different way that I didn't see. Maybe he was helping people outside of the family or something like that. You know, spiritual awakening is a call to a higher consciousness and a deeper awareness of self and the world around you. And you know, there's many ways that it can play out. And like I say, there's ways that things have happened in my life, certain setbacks, certain paths I've gone down that have either helped me in life or hindered me in life. And that generally gets you to that point of reflection. And that is what, for me, has helped me see this world in a whole new light. You know, because life is a grind sometimes. You know, there's these constant problems and struggles you go through, responsibility, the fast pace of life, you can't keep up. You feel helpless and hopeless sometimes. And that's what can get you there. And that's why I say sometimes it's a dark place that you go to. But in that, what you can find a bit of comfort in is, for me, in little moments of being spiritually awakened or having these realizations, is that I got an immense sense of gratitude, of love, of appreciation for the things that I do have, for my blessings. And, you know, that's for family, for friends, for, you know, just living to the standard of living that I have, for the opportunity to even express myself and share stuff, that's what means a lot to me. You know, another way that you can be awoken is through mystery, you know, and being in awe of things. So think of, like, for me, when I've traveled and you see certain natural wonders and they're just so awe-inspiring, like to think like that this has been created or that this exists on the earth is something that really takes you back, especially when you take it to the night sky and you look up at the universe and you see the vastness of it and you think that we're just this small dot in the middle of this black vastness that is the universe, that is space, and that we don't actually know where we are, where this place is. For me, that is a very profound and kind of leveling feeling of, like, yeah, when you have these problems, are they really problems? You know, everything else is still moving in its orbit and in its sequence, and it's just you that is out of sync. And maybe you can turn that around if you change your way of thinking, your perspective. And many people go to this thing of talking about manifestation. In a way, if you think about it, by thinking something, that you're thinking something to happen, you're changing little vibrations, little pathways in your mind. And obviously, yeah, if you're connecting and making them strong connections in your mind, then there's a strong chance that that might influence your behavior and your attitude and get you to the place and your goals and your targets in life. So yeah, there is this kind of mystic element to life, this mystery that, like I say, brings me a very kind of profound sense of being, of existing, and an appreciation. I'm a bit of a sucker for quotes, but I like this one from Eckhart Tolle about spiritual awakening, and it goes like this: spiritual awakening is awakening from the dream of thought. And what I get from this is, when I'm describing a lot of these experiences that I was going through or that you might go through, it's to say that when it's all said and done, when you've been through all these experiences, what actually happens is that you get out of the way of yourself, as in your mind and your thoughts, and you allow life to unfold and for it to flow without judgment. Because the journey and the path in your life is going to be so different, it's difficult for, say, these masters, these gurus, these teachers to actually take you there. It's something that you have to walk the path yourself. And that's what I found. That's why at 39 years old, I realized I've witnessed a number of events that have shaped me. One of the most profound for me was seeing my son being born. Now, yeah, besides all the bloods and guts of things and, you know, the yucky stuff, it was amazing to see this life come out of my missus. It's just something else, like, and I've never fully had the conversation with someone. You know, people say, oh, I love my kids and there's no love like this. But again, that's what I'm saying, of even for these teachers and gurus and masters, if they told you, or your friend told you what it was like, that's not getting it. You know, you have to experience it. And like I say, when I experienced that, and then I thought of my own existence and coming into the world and everyone else's, that I was eternally grateful for the fact that I made it through that lottery of being alive. You know, it's not a given, and making it this far. They're the kind of things you come to, you know. Even I've had experiences with, like, you know, having space cake and taking psychedelics, that takes you to a place where you access this more creative, fluid kind of thought. It's not necessarily that you couldn't get there yourself, but I feel them substances, they help you to maybe access it easier. And obviously, ultimately, it's within you, yeah? Whatever's affecting you, it's affecting you, you know, the self. So it's only coming from you. So you can do whatever it is, but it's coming from you. Think of it like you take an energy drink to run a race, but you still have to have the underlying level of fitness. You can't just have the drink and run the race in a record time. You had to train, you had to prep, you had to eat right, you had to sleep right. All them things have gone into it. And that's what I'm saying. When you even take these kind of substances, these psychedelics and stuff, you already have to be on that path. It's not just going to come to you. You know what I mean? It's not, you have to already be engaging with that. And that's why I know for a lot of the yogis and these masters, like I say, it's like they would have got there through meditation. And therefore that leads me on to practice. What are you practicing? And for me in my life, one thing I've practiced that, and it might just be seen as a throwaway thing sometimes to people, but it's like engaging in music and watching films, because they're creative pursuits, they're arts, yeah, much like looking at a painting. If you really delve into them, someone is projecting their image or their reality into something. So for example, a lot of albums, they're dealing with emotions of the artist and the thoughts and feelings deep within. And by you hearing what they've processed and how they've presented it to you, you can access some of that. You obviously have to experience it yourself, but if you have, then it becomes relatable. And when I'm talking about films as well, it's that fact that when you see these, especially for me, it's sci-fi, the imagination, you can see everything, whether it's robots, aliens, But what it comes down to is that writer or director is trying to express something from a human perspective, yeah? They're trying to express something. The alien just represents something. Maybe it's fear with like these monster movies, or maybe with something like the film Arrival, it's connection, you know, connecting with something else, yeah, that is not human. And therefore, how would you feel? And that's the amazing thing, the power of our brain, is that we can access these things through creativity and imagination, and it takes us further than we might have physically been. You know, I've never physically met an alien, but I can go through all kinds of scenarios of what it would be like. I could go through what I would like to say to them, you know, what they might say to me, and what it would mean for us, for our identity, for our place in the universe. So yeah, you know, that's part of it, you know, doing this mental kind of exercise in your head, be that under psychedelics, under meditation, under self-reflection, through experiences. That is where you get to this state of spiritual awakening or realization. You know, as for going back to them teachers and the masters and the gurus, they must laugh at themselves. They must chuckle inside, because someone is coming to them and asking them to show them the meaning of life or the purpose of life. And it's like, we're all individual. We all have our own karma, our own personality traits, our own time that we're born in that demands its own kind of action. So these teachers, gurus, masters, they can guide you, but the reason they laugh is because you have to walk that path. You have to embark on that adventure. It's a bit like the hero's journey. You know, he goes off and he has this obstacle in life, yeah, or this problem that he needs to solve. So he acquires the skills through training, through mastery. He meets people along the way that kind of give him snippets of information, and then ultimately he has to face this thing, whether it's a monster, whether it's an internal battle to overcome, and therefore, you know, win the day or whatever you want to say, you know, succeed in what the task he's set out to do. And that's much like our own. It reflects our own life journey. Like, there's things that you will come across that you will either succeed or fail, but it's the learning from it. And either way, it's the journey that is important. It's not the destination. That is a common phrase that I've heard and think rings really true, that it really is the journey. So don't neglect the fact that you're doing something to get somewhere. Really focus on the doing, and that you're doing it to the best of your ability, or with the most kind of focus and concentration and awareness. Because once you get there, much like someone winning a Olympic medal, what they generally describe is a feeling of what now? you know what I mean, because they focus so much on getting to that goal. But when they look back on the journey, the training, the travel, the experience, that's what they should have took in. And they should, just by getting that medal, then they've attained the knowledge of what it takes to get there and continue that. It doesn't stop. It doesn't stop. So yeah, like I say, once you've gone through that process, for me, what I get little moments of is a real sense of gratitude, a real sense of love and appreciation for life. And just to say that I'm just relaying my information, my experiences, because hopefully it will help someone out there that is kind of in a rut or doesn't know what direction to go next, doesn't know why they're feeling the way they're feeling. I just want to provide some kind of information to people to either relate to or to maybe say that be patient, be patient because you will get there, and there's no right time. There's no amount of time that should pass or shouldn't pass. It will just come to you in time. And for me, I think I've got a lot more learning to do. And if I hold that kind of mindset, I'm like the Olympic person that has won the gold medal. I've touched it. I've attained it, but it's very fleeting. It's not going to stay with me. And even if I just have that medal, there's more things to be kind of learnt and accessed, and that it's a never-ending journey. And even to say that once you're awakened, that you'll still go through problems, you'll still have to manage things. You're not going to be like immune to the world around you, but you'll know more how to tackle them and how to manage them by being more awakened, having that realization and being more open to what is presented in front of you. So yeah, that's kind of wrapping it up for me. I'd love to see some comments about what was a moment that you became awakened, if you have, or had a realization. Any kind of profound moments in your life that have guided you and helped you, where at the time you might have thought they wasn't helping you. Yeah, anything profound really. That would be really interesting to see and read up on. That's all I've got time for now on Welcome to the Human Experience, and I'll see you next time.